For decades, people across the Amazon have reported encounters with enormous snakes, creatures said to reach sizes the world has never seen before. Stories of gigantic anacondas moving silently through remote rivers and flooded forests. For a long time, these accounts remained little more than stories. But in recent years, scientists uncovered something remarkable. In the ancient Amazon rainforest, a giant snake once lived, 15 m long, the largest snake ever discovered, a predator that once ruled these forests. Its name was Titanoboa, which raises an unsettling question. If the Amazon once produced giants like Titanoboa, could the conditions that created them still exist today? And if they do, how should we understand the many reports of enormous snakes still seen in the Amazon? To answer that question, we must dive deep into one of the most mysterious ecosystems on Earth, the Amazon rainforest. The Amazon is the largest rainforest on Earth. It covers nearly 7 million kilometers across several countries in South America. In sheer size, it is almost as large as the entire area of the United States. And across this enormous region flows the largest freshwater network on Earth, a maze of rivers, swamps, and wetlands that shapes the entire ecosystem. Each year during the rainy season, large parts of the forest flood. Vast regions turn into varzea and agapo forests, submerged landscapes that remain underwater for months. And this environment favors a very specific kind of predator, the green anaconda. Built for this world, it is semi-aquatic, comfortable in water, on land, and even in trees. It hunts in murky water where visibility is close to zero. An ambush predator that uses its powerful body to suffocate its prey, drag it underwater, and drown it before swallowing it whole. And unlike many other predators, anacondas can survive by feeding only a few times a year. Then it submerges again and disappears into one of the countless channels cutting through the Amazon. So if any place on Earth could realistically hide an unusually large anaconda, it would be the Amazon. And that possibility is where the stories begin. Anacondas are the heaviest snakes alive. The largest clearly documented specimens reach lengths of up to 6 m. Modern field researchers such as rainforest explorer Paul Rosoli have handled and measured wild anacondas repeatedly across the Amazon basin, and discoveries are still being made today. In 2024, during an expedition in the Ecuadorian Amazon, joined by actor Will Smith, scientists documented an anaconda over 6 m long, one of the largest ever clearly recorded. Genetic analysis during the expedition revealed something even more surprising. The giant anacondas of northern South America are actually a separate species that diverged from the southern green anaconda nearly 10 million years ago. Beyond this size range, reports become increasingly difficult to verify. The largest anaconda ever scientifically documented is recorded by the Natural History Museum in London. According to their archive, this individual measured 8.43 m in length and weighed over 200 kilograms. However, this record lacks detailed context, making full verification difficult. Yet, reports of giant anacondas in the Amazon go far beyond this documented size. They appear across different centuries, cultures, and expeditions. During the 19th century, naturalists traveling through the Amazon regularly recorded accounts of snakes reaching 9 to 12 m. Explorers such as Henry Walter Bates and Alfred Russel Wallace took these reports seriously and documented them in detail. Yet, in their own expeditions, the largest anacondas they personally encountered were smaller. In 1907, British explorer Percy Fawcett reported encountering a snake he claimed measured more than 18 m. No physical evidence was preserved. Fawcett later returned to the Amazon on another expedition. He never returned. Around 1910, Theodore Roosevelt, former U.S. president, offered a reward of $50,000 for a giant anaconda measuring over 10 m delivered to the Bronx Zoo. The reward was never claimed. In the modern era, the sightings did not disappear. In 2016, a report from Para, Brazil, described an anaconda measuring over 10 m discovered during construction work, but the observation was never fully documented. Across more than a century, the same pattern remains. Not enough to confirm, not enough to dismiss. And that raises a deeper question. Would it even be biologically possible for a predator of that size to exist? The answer is not theoretical, because around 60 million years ago, during the Paleocene epoch, A giant snake named Titanoboa lived in the ancient Amazon rainforest. Its fossils were discovered in the Sarajan coal mine in northern Colombia. First uncovered in the early 2000s, the snake was formally described in 2009. And Titanoboa was not some distant outlier. It belonged to the boa family, the same group that includes modern anacondas. Same lineage, same constricting anatomy, just on a scale the modern world has never seen. Titanoboa reached lengths of up to 15 m, with a body diameter approaching 1 m. Estimates suggest it weighed more than 1 metric ton. This was the largest snake ever documented in Earth's history. Scientists believe Titanoboa fed on large caimans, predators that were already present in the Amazon region at the time. And its existence proves something crucial, that under the right conditions, snakes are capable of reaching extraordinary sizes. But how do snakes manage to become that large? For many years, scientists believed the explanation was simple: temperature. Snakes are cold-blooded animals, and their growth is strongly influenced by environmental heat. During the Paleocene, when Titanoboa lived, the tropics were warmer than today. At first glance, that seemed like the perfect explanation. But today, many researchers argue that temperature alone cannot explain such extreme size. Instead, the answer may lie in the ecosystem itself. The ancient Amazon looked different from the rainforest we know today. Large parts of the landscape were dominated by vast wetlands and slow-moving river systems, far more extensive than in much of the Amazon today. These enormous wetlands could support huge populations of fish and other aquatic animals. And in these waters lived other giant predators, crocodiles from the ancient family Dinosauridae. Some of these animals reached 5 to 6 m in length. So, Titanoboa was not the only massive reptile living in this environment. Which leads us to the central question: could the modern Amazon still support predators of that scale? One clue comes from the crocodilians that live there today. The largest recorded black caimans have been measured at nearly 6 m in length, which suggests that even today, the Amazon ecosystem can still support predators almost as large as those that lived here millions of years ago. But could it also support a giant snake? In fact, it already does. The anaconda is the largest known snake alive today. Pythons may reach similar lengths, but their bodies are far slimmer. Anacondas can weigh roughly twice as much. But even the largest recorded anacondas still reach only about half the size estimated for Titanoboa. So does that mean an anaconda could never reach such sizes? Not necessarily. Individuals approaching the extreme limits of their species are exceptionally rare. For every giant individual, there are thousands of smaller ones. And if any living snake is built to push the limits of size, it would be an animal like the anaconda. Anacondas are semi-aquatic. They can hunt deep underwater, but also far inland. This gives the anaconda access to an unusually large pool of prey. And unlike many other predators, reptiles such as the anaconda continue growing throughout their lives. Biologists call this indeterminate growth. As long as the animal survives and finds enough food, it can keep increasing in size, and anacondas can live for 2 to 3 decades. So from a purely biological perspective, a snake like the anaconda could reach very large sizes. And there is another important factor that sets the anaconda apart from many other snakes. The anaconda spends most of its life in water, and that changes the physical limits of body size. Normally, as animals grow larger, movement becomes more difficult. Gravity places increasing stress on muscles, organs, and the skeleton. But in water, buoyancy supports the body. It is no coincidence that the largest animals on Earth, like the blue whale, live in water. Water removes many of the physical limits that gravity places on giant bodies. It does not create giant snakes by itself, but it helps explain why the heaviest living snakes are found in rivers and swamps. So, if any living snake could ever grow close to the size of Titanoboa, it would be an anaconda in the Amazon rainforest. And that raises an obvious question. If animals like this could theoretically exist, why has no physical evidence of them ever been documented? The answer may lie in the environment itself. The Amazon is vast, dense, and extraordinarily difficult to access. A recent study from 2025 based on 12 years of field observations in the Peruvian Amazon revealed just how hard these snakes really are to find. Researchers attached radio transmitters to several anacondas, allowing them to track the animals' exact locations. Yet, Even when scientists knew